Okay, what's your name?
I'm Sammy, and this is my son Danny.
How old are you?
I'm 21, and he is 10 months old.
How long have you been breastfeeding him?
We have been breastfeeding him since he was born.
And, how long do you plan on breastfeeding him?
Until he decides to wean on his own. I think it's really important that babies be able to self-wean. Their bodies, I believe, will tell them when they need to stop. So when he's done nursing, he'll let me know. So he was exclusively nursed until he was 9 months old because we thought he had food allergies because of things I was eating, because he was having really bad stomach problems. So I ended up cutting out wheat and gluten and dairy and all sorts of crazy stuff out of my diet. I was not a happy camper. But it turns out he had a staph infection, and once we treated that, he was perfectly fine. But he only started eating food maybe a month ago.
So you think he will wean himself?
Oh yeah. Babies will wean when they're ready. I just don't think you should push it because psychologically I think it would be traumatic. They have that comfort and that closeness with their mother, and then you just yank it away, you know. It can be hard on them.
Did you have any troubles breastfeeding him while he had the staph infection?
We did have a little because my supply was not keeping up with him because he was going through a growth spurt, and I ended up getting prescribed metoclopramide, which is a stomach medication, but it acts on the dopamine receptors. It's a dopamine antagonist, and it increases your prolactin, which increases your milk supply. I used that for a really short period of time, and then I stopped, and we've been fine since then.
Do you have any other breastfeeding problems, or?
No, not really. Nope, other than he wants to breastfeed all the time, 24/7. So.
As we can see. What does his shirt say?
I heart boobs.
Aww.
His aunt made it for him. But yeah, he's been almost exclusively breastfed until he was 9 months old, and he just started getting foods. He pretty much went straight to table food, but he still prefers breastfeeding over food and over bottles or anything. So.
Let's see. Do you use a pump and feed him through bottles a lot?
Rarely. I do pump a lot because I donate milk, but he rarely gets milk in a bottle because he just doesn't like bottles. He'd much rather have me than he would a bottle. So, but when he needs to, he gets milk in a bottle. But mostly I pump for donation purposes. I do what's called direct donation. I give milk directly to the families that need it for their babies. Sometimes that's through local drop-offs and meetups, or sometimes I ship it. It all depends on the situation.
So why do you donate? And how many do you donate to?
Why do I donate? I think it's really important. I don't think formula is good for babies. I think the majority of the reason people formula feed is because it's marketed in mass amounts and it's incredibly pressuring. The formula companies pretty much set moms up for failure by giving out those breastfeeding success kits. They really don't help at all. I've looked at some of them, the wording they use on their breastfeeding education literature, it's ridiculous. And I just really feel formula has so many disadvantages compared to breast milk. I've been researching into it for the last couple years, and it's just horrible how awful it is for them. And breastfeeding has so many benefits. And I feel every baby should be able to get that, whether they're adopted or their mother has physical issues or anything. So, but I've donated milk to a total of 9 babies. I donated to 2 babies when I was nursing my daughter, who was born in 2007. And I've donated to 7 babies since my son was born in May of 2009.
She is not here with us right now, so we won't have a picture of her.
Oh, my daughter. Oh, yeah.
Do you have any people supporting your breastfeeding donations or breastfeeding Danny?
As far as breastfeeding my son, I would say my family and my husband's family are in the middle ground. They don't support it, but they don't not support it, if that makes sense. They pretty much don't really care what I do either way. My husband, when I first started nursing my daughter, he was a little weird about it because he thought it was kind of strange, but he's warmed up to it just fine and actually prefers it because he doesn't have to hold the bottles or anything. I can just nurse them. But my husband pretty much told me, decide what you want to do and do it. Don't let anything get in your way and don't let anything stop you. Do what you think is best for your baby.
Does that include nursing in public?
Yeah. I mean, totally. I'm all for nursing in public. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think people overreact to it. It's not a sexual thing. You're feeding your baby. You don't get mad at someone walking down the grocery aisle eating a bag of Cheetos, so why would you get mad at a baby nursing, right? It doesn't make sense. If the baby's over 2 years old, then yeah, maybe they should be able to wait until they go home, you know, just because they're old enough they could learn some patience. But a baby under 2, if they want to nurse, let them nurse. They don't need to be covered up with a blanket. I mean, you don't put a blanket over your head when you're eating, do you? I mean, it's silly when you think about it that way, but it's true. I mean, they want moms to cover their babies' heads up, and most babies don't like that. Both of my kids, if you put blankets over their heads, they freak out. So I just got over it. I use baby carrier a lot that I made, a buckle mai tai, and I nurse them in that a lot. You can't really tell unless you're like looking down the front of the carrier or anything, but...
Back to formula. How do you feel about baby formula?
It's horrible. I mean, there's so much horrible stuff about it, and honestly, I think people overhype it to be this great thing when really it's not. I mean, they make it seem like it's great, convenient, and just as good as your baby. Enfamil made the mistake on their website of calling it the breast milk formula once, and they got into a big tiff about that with a lot of people and had to take it down. But it's ridiculous. The formula is so horrible for them, and I think a lot of it's just corporate marketing, and people are really misinformed. So they go right to formula thinking, oh, it's just as good. It's not going to hurt my baby any. It's just fine. I know this baby and that baby was fine, and they were formula fed. And most moms give up on breastfeeding before they really should. I mean, I can't even count how many women I've met who tell me, well, I just didn't have any milk. I was feeding them and nothing was coming out. And then I ask them how long they were breastfeeding and trying, and they tell me, well, when I was in the hospital for the first 2 days. The milk doesn't even come in until a few days after the baby's born. So if they're only trying this first couple days, they're really misinformed. So yeah, it's just, it's sad. It really upsets me. But I will never feed a baby formula. My friends know that if they drop their babies off with me and be babysat, then I will either nurse them or give them milk out of my freezer, because I feel like I'm holding a can of arsenic if I hold a can of formula, you know? That's how strongly I feel about it. I know it's extreme, but that's how strong I feel about it.
Do you have any special breastfeeding stories you'd like to share?
Well, I'm a birth doula, and I was at the hospital with a client who was in labor, and I forgot to bring my pump, so I ended up having to express milk into a sterile urine collection cup. It was kind of funny. I mean, how many people can say they've done that? So, and then I was at my mom's house the other day, and her cat was trying to breastfeed. It kept coming up to me, and I'm like shooing it away, and I had Danny right here, and I was nursing him, and the cat comes up under Danny, starts pushing his head up, trying to get to it. So it was kind of funny. The cat really wanted some milk too, I guess. So.
Let's see. We already know that Danny enjoys breastfeeding.
Oh yeah, he loves it. He freaks out if my husband even tries to come near my boobs. I mean, even if he fakes it, Danny will freak out and scream at him.
Well, do you have anything else you'd like to share about your breastfeeding relationship?
I think it's really beneficial. I honestly feel like I'm closer to my child. I don't think I would be nearly as close to my baby if he wasn't breastfed. I know that sounds weird, but I really feel that
there is a connection.
It's a huge bonding thing. And we do silly stuff, like we have breastfeeding songs that I made up to the tunes.
Ooh, would you like to share one?
What?
Would you like to share one?
You want me to sing?
Yes.
I guess I can, if you want me to. If anyone knows the song Gwen Stefani's Rich Girl, we have a breastfeeding version. It's, if I was a baby, na 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 na, say I'd have all the boobies in the world if I was a happy baby. Think what those boobies would bring. I'd drink everything, clean them out from left to right until I'm full. Only if I could nurse all night long until I'm sleepy. It's just a silly little thing we made up, and we have another one. It's milk, milk, milk galore. Fill me up, Mom, I want more. Yummy, yum, yummy, in my tummy. Milk, milk, I want
He's
more.
got a cute smile.
And he enjoys it. I think it's really cool. He goes through days where he eats a lot of food, and then he goes through days where he just wants a nurse. And I mean, it's so beneficial, and it really comes down to what a woman is willing to do to provide her baby the best, you know? And that's what amazes me about these moms that I donate milk to, because they've tried everything and they try so hard, and it's just amazing to me.